The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style. From the highs to the lows, every story just explodes. Mike's got questions on the go, diving deep from head to toe. Every week the guests align, sharing moments so divine. Stay with us, the pace is fine. Every episode you'll find. The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style.
Dave Crumb, good to see you again from Conversations with Crumb.
Thanks, Mike. It's good to be back after, I think it's been about a year now.
Too long,
Yeah.
Mr. Crumb. Mr. Crumb here is the town of Parma and village of Hilton historian. He took over from Leith Wright in the year 2008. And tonight we want to bring our introduction to America 250. And next year it's going to be celebrating a big year for the United States.
Absolutely. It's the 250th year of the Constitution, the 250th year of the beginning of the Revolutionary War. And it really is something to celebrate since our democracy has lasted 250 years. And it's non-political. It's just an important date to mark, as we did back in 1976 for the bicentennial. And this is our 250th.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot. Are there other democracies around the world that have been around for 250 years?
Well, right off the top of my head, I can't think of any. I know the Roman Empire had a republic, and I'm not sure how long that lasted. It was quite a bit different, and that was 2,000 years ago. But I think our democracy holds the flag for is the longest and perhaps the most successful.
Now, like we said, it's been a while since you and I have talked. Name some of the programs or events that you've been involved in last year.
Well, we really just last year, 2025, was the celebration of the 200th anniversary of the Erie Canal. And that was a New York State initiative. And the Erie Canal is a treasure for New York State. We're so lucky to have it. It's a wonderful recreational place and just loaded with history. And my assistant, Amanda Dudley, and her husband bought a canal boat that year. And they probably are the most knowledgeable of anybody going up and down the Erie Canal. They visited every canal town from Newark to Tonawanda and just had a wonderful time with it. But this year is what we're going to talk about. It's America's 250th anniversary, and this is a United States initiative. It'll probably be celebrated nationally in Washington, D.C. on the 4th of July. That's my understanding. But every town and village in the country is entitled to celebrate along this. However, it's different for many towns. Along the East Coast, they have tremendous historical locations, buildings, battlefields, etc., where they can really stage a major celebration. Here in Parma, the town of Parma, which is in Monroe County, we don't have any battlefields. But the one thing we do have are early settlers who were Revolutionary War veterans who came west after the war and began to settle the lands, not just here in Parma, but all through western New York and even into Ohio. So that's kind of where our focus will lie, is on these early veterans. And we have members of our historical society who will come on later in a future podcast to really go into the detail on these Revolutionary War veterans. They're buried in our historic cemeteries, and there are a couple in Parma Union Cemetery. Also up in Parma Corners Cemetery, I believe there are two. But I don't want to steal their thunder because John Toll, a member of our board, he and Amanda Dudley are both specialists in this research. And Amanda, the assistant Village of Hilton historian, has she and her husband have been doing great work on restoring these cemeteries. The restoration process began probably 15 years ago when it all got started when Parma was celebrating its 200th anniversary in 2009. Ben Franklin said, "You measure the character of a community on how well they keep up their cemeteries." And we took a look around, and they didn't look very good. And so we started with the Dunbar Cemetery in 2010, I believe, and then there are 5 other historic cemeteries: the Atchison one on Hill Road, the Castle Cemeteries on Peck Road, Knapp Cemeteries on Parma Clarkson Town Line Road on the Parma side. Hoosick is a big one up on Ridge Road on the corner of Manitou. And then the Wright Cemetery, which is down on the corner of Dunbar Road and Hamlin Parma Town Line Road. So those are our 6. And we didn't just start this last year. We've been working on them for the last 10 years. And it couldn't have come at a better time to have them all fixed up nicely. And when Amanda does her podcast, you'll hear all about the details of the restoration process. And it's complex, but it's a lot of fun, and it's very satisfying to see them looking nice and be ready for 2026.
Now, what inspired you to get into your role of the 2026 or America 250?
Well, I kind of heard about it, reading things, but I went to the Monroe County Historians meeting back in April and then again in October. We have these meetings twice a year, and we're all these historians from the villages and the towns. There are 19 towns and villages in Monroe County. We all get together and share ideas and talk about what we could do as a theme. And of course, America 250 is the big one. And there's a lot of information forthcoming from the state of New York, from the State Historical Society. There are things like flags. I have a little flag here that we used recently in a village walk. I don't know if you can see it. Does that look like America? Is it backwards or is it?
Oh, there you go.
There we go. That's the reverse side. That is a small sign that is handy for various displays, but they're full-size America 250 flags. There are many variations when you look on the internet to see what you can find. They're huge ones that can go on an outdoor flagpole. They're, middle-sized ones, and then the average-size flag that people can buy for their homes. They can drape them on their, porches, however they want to display them. And it would be nice to see lots of these up where the average person will be on board with this program and just have an America 250 flag to put in their yard. So we're looking forward to that.
And like you said, it's a non-political thing. It's a celebration of the country. We made it a long time.
Yeah, that's right. And we're celebrating it. If we didn't have our democracy and our freedom, things wouldn't be like we can enjoy them today. And it's worth celebrating. I think good things will come of it. And as Mike said, it's non-political. It's a celebration, something to be happy about, something to work into your picnics, your programs, decorating your house, especially during the 4th of July, because that is the official date. But all year long, different things can be saluted with America 250 as it's appropriate.
Now, before we got on the podcast, you did mention some other names, and we won't steal their thunder, but can you mention some of their names?
Sure. I've already mentioned Amanda Dudley, who's the assistant village historian. And then there's Nancy Laporte. She's the assistant town historian. She's working on a book which will be an artifact for America 250, and it's going to be written at a fourth grade level so that it can be used in the school system about the Revolutionary War veterans, the Seneca Indians, whatever is appropriate for that time frame, because Parma wasn't developed until 1796, and that was just the first settler came. There was nobody here. But the stories of those early settlers are very appropriate because some of them were Revolutionary War veterans. And they had moved west to claim new land and start new lives.
How about...
I forgot more names.
Yep.
So we mentioned Amanda and we've mentioned Nancy. Ryan Rockefeller is the number 2 man in the recreation department, and he's the man that gets the summer smash going and the 4th of July parties at the park, at Parma Park. And he's quite excited about this and has different plans in mind to use this theme as part of the program this summer. He'll be on as a podcast. And then there's Ken Freeman. Ken is the curator at the Parma Hilton Museum, and he has some ideas to use for the museum. I think John Toll.
Mm-hmm.
John Toll is a researcher on our Revolutionary War veterans. We have about 14 or 15 of them here in Parma. Some are more, we know more about than others, but we're getting all that information together. Tom Berger, who's quite a genealogist, Amanda Dudley, who's involved in the historic cemeteries, and John Toll, and myself, and Nancy Laporte for the book. We want to make sure we agree on everything that we publish. And so we're doing this research now so that hopefully by the middle of January it'll all be accepted. I think I've mentioned everybody.
I think you got all the names for sure. The events, will they all occur at the town hall?
Well, the main events are going to be probably through the recreation department. We did have the village walk, which took place, I think it was December 6th. And to introduce America 250, several of us who are SAR members, that means Sons of the American Revolution, similar to the DAR, wore tricorn hats. And I happen to have one here that the country is putting out, just like the flags. You can put these tricorn hats on and you can look a little bit 18th century, just for fun. And we had a lot of fun with that in this village walk that we did. People would come up to us and say, "What's going on here?" And we'd mention America 250 and we'd ask them some history questions. And we just had a lot of fun. I would call that event very friendly, very appreciative, and very affable. People were just out having a good time. They brought their youngsters along. The kids had games. They had Santa Claus. They had America 250. We had heaters in the middle of Main Street so you could come up and get warm. Hot chocolate was given out free, and just a fun time. It was about 2 hours, and then people migrated up to the gazebo in front of the community center, and the Christmas tree was lit by the mayor, and we had town dignitaries up there, and it was a cold, kind of unpleasant atmosphere that night weather-wise, but that didn't stop the crowd. They all had a good time, and I think left with a happy feeling. And we hope they heard about America 250. We just sort of let it out of the bag at that time. Other events will be forthcoming. A lot of them haven't been established. They may be little events at the museum. It could be an event here at the community center, or it could be speaking engagements at the school for the youngsters. Um, some things just haven't been totally decided yet, but these are the ideas that are being stirred.
General question for you. How do historians today think about the American Revolution as we approach this 250th anniversary?
Good question. History's always changing, and it's never quite the same, but it's what people agree on. And the revolution is a very interesting time looking back, and I don't know how many of you listeners have had the chance to listen to the Ken Burns documentary on the revolution. It's one of his largest. It takes 5 nights of about 2 hours, 10 hours to go through it all. And I hope it's going to be played several times because I want to watch it again. But it takes you through all the different battles in the Revolution, starting with the battle at Bunker Hill, at Lexington and Concord, where they had the victory in Boston and drove the British out. And then we got down to New York City, and the British drove George Washington out of New York City. And then you get down to Pennsylvania, and you're to Valley Forge. It's a complete story of the Revolution and all the players. And Ken Burns is a genius, the way he puts these documentaries together. They're really good. They're peppered with traditional music, with accurate history, old photographs, maps, drawings. It makes it very easy watching and very enjoyable. And if you watch that, I've been studying this for years, and I still don't have my arms around it. And every time you read a book or listen to something, you learn something new. But it was an amazing time because there were a lot of things going on. We had the Native Americans, we had the Tories, who were people still loyal to Britain, and then the Patriots, who were the ones that wanted to get free because they were working hard and going nowhere. And so there were many factions going on besides these big battles with the British. George Washington was just a fantastic leader. How he pulled this whole thing off is still, people pondering. But yeah, the history, as I say, always changing. You can read many books on it. And I encourage everybody to, if you're the least bit interested in history, this is the year to stick your foot in the water and learn about the Revolutionary War, because there's going to be a lot forthcoming on it. And it's a nice time to be able to get into it, and you can talk about it with your friends. Have book clubs covering various factions. Maybe we'll all come out a little smarter. And hopefully remember it.
Exactly. Now, I may be putting the cart before the horse, but you talked about there's a lot of music at the time. Has your celebration of America 250 in Hilton thought about putting any music into their celebration?
It's a good question, Mike. I doubt it, but I think they will. What is Revolutionary War music? Well, Yankee Doodle for sure, but there's other music that the music was very important to the troops to keep their spirits up. Drum rolls, jaunty tunes that they could sing as they're marching. It sounds, we don't do that sort of thing too much today, but they did, and it was part of the military regimentation, I guess. And they would march long marches, 20 miles a day, sometimes 40. I don't know how they did it. And they didn't have the kind of equipment we have today. The roads weren't always good. But they would sing, they'd beat the drums would go on. It would make the time go on and keep them moving forward. And some of that music is probably forthcoming. I know at our Historical Society banquet in May, the speaker, or rather the entertainer, I believe, will be doing some of that music to kind of get people ready. It's upbeat music. It isn't rock or jazz or anything like current traditional music, but it's definitely what was going on back in the day, and I always found it pleasant to listen to because it's got a positive uh, drum beat sound to it.
How long was the Revolutionary War?
Went from 1776 until 1783. It was about 8 years. Well, no, 7 years. 7 years. So some of the soldiers, in the research I've done, they would start at in the Revolution as young as 12 years old. They might be a drummer boy, or they might be a galley boy on a ship. So while it seems unreal that some of them were born in, let's say, 1766, and they were in the Revolution in 1778, they're only 12.
Mm-hmm.
But others, some of the older men were born in the 1750s. And what was interesting to me in the little bit of research that I did is that some of the ones buried in Parma lived very long lives. They were hard workers. And William Henry, for whom Henry Street is named, right here where we're in Henry Street right now, the community center, he was a Revolutionary War veteran. He was born in 1759. He lived till 1848. And he was 90 when he died. I think it was 1758 he was born, yeah. He was 90. And another gentleman in Hoosick was 89. And this is in years before penicillin and a lot of the creature comforts that we enjoy today. These people were walking long distances. Probably all that walking was good. And they were the ones that settled up here. They had farms. And they probably ate well. But it amazes me that even back then, they could live a long life. When you hear of so much infant mortality and early death among people, plus the war itself took out an awful lot of younger men and boys.
Are there any historical landmarkers recognizing Revolutionary War veterans around Parma?
Not too many, but we have some coming forth. One has not gone up yet, but it's one that'll be put up this spring in the Wright Cemetery, and that will honor Noah Downs. And Noah Downs was a Revolutionary War veteran who settled over on the Dunbar Road, and he was in Sullivan's campaign. And that's when George Washington engaged General John Sullivan to come up through the Susquehanna and move the Seneca Indians out of this area, because the Seneca Indians, the Seneca Native Americans, were siding with the British. And they had caused a lot of trouble for settlers, scalping them and shooting them and so forth. And they needed to be moved westward. And I know there's a lot of conjecture on that. We were the aggressors, but it's history. It's what happened, and we're here. And it was a very difficult time. But Noah Downs was on that Sullivan's campaign, and he's buried in the Wright Cemetery, and he is mentioned in that historic marker. There may be others. I don't think there's one for William Henry, but we're thinking about. That's one of the initiatives that we're doing this year, is to make sure that these patriots, as we call them, that they're honored.
Now, there was no internet and there's no TV. How did news travel at that time?
Well, a lot of news didn't travel. When there was a battle in America and England won or lost, it took probably 2 months to get the news back to the British. And it's hard to conceive how things happened. They did not do much fighting in the winter. But the British Army lived in New York and in New Jersey, and they took all of the homes and things, and they lived they foraged, stole a lot of cattle and things out of the farms. So they were living high in the hog all winter long. Well, George Washington and his army were suffering down at Valley Forge with very little uniforms. The Congress of the United States, there was no money here, and to get people to fight, to pay them, to encourage them, it was just an impossible job almost, and that's why we give Washington so much credit through his leadership and his diplomacy. Uh, he was amazing how he got the war done, and that's why he's so revered today. Even though there are things about him that weren't the greatest, but in this particular instance, he rose above.
You've already cited Ken Burns and his documentary. What other sources do you recommend that you've used or that people could do to research the Revolutionary War?
If any listeners are interested in doing a little book club or something, I would get the book 1776 by David McCullough. That only talks about 1776, but he's such a good writer that you feel like you're right there while you're reading it. And it's a page turner, nothing boring at all. It was written maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little longer, but I've read it twice, and I'd recommend that book. I wish I'd prepared a little more for those books, because that was mentioned among the Monroe County historians that it would be great to form book clubs, small ones, 8-10 people, go to the local library and have a room, and they can get the books together. And they listed 7 or 8 books that were good, and I can't bring them up to memory right now. I think there was one about the women of the Revolution. A lot of the women followed the army as camp followers to do the washing, to the cooking, to support their men, be with their men. That's an untold story. Those are good stories. And there are probably a whole host of others. But as I say, I can't pull them up right now. But I'm sure by the time these other podcasts are done, we'll have them.
Again, it's in its infancy, but are there committees or subcommittees if people want to join in the creation of America 250?
There's nothing right at the moment been established. We're still in 2025, but I think in January, once we get through the holidays, a lot of things will be coming to the surface, and I think it would be great to have community volunteers who were sincere about wanting to work on this program to step forward. And it's a great way to become involved in the Historical Society or in education. There's lots of little things that need to be done, and there's plenty of leadership. And so hopefully that will take place, that we'll have things for people to do, transcribing or one thing that has been done, which I'll show right now.
Sure, go ahead.
Comes to mind. This probably will be another podcast. Margaret Wheelahan, who's a board member of the Historical Society, is doing a Parma Hilton Historical Society coloring book. And here she has a picture of the Braddock Point Lighthouse as it once looked, with a 96-foot tower is still intact. The lighthouse is in great shape today, except the tall tower is gone and only about half the size. But inside here, for instance, is a drawing of Reverend Charles Hilton, and he's the man that Hilton was named for. But I think she's also working on one for America 250, and we'll have her on in the podcast to talk about her initiatives, what she's doing.
I'm also looking forward to Nancy Laporte's 4th grade level reading book. I think that's something that the schools really could catch on to. I think you already answered this question. There are the communities that are holding celebrations. Are some going deeper than others, or you know what I mean? Are they
I
just
know.
they have the funds to do
I
that?
think it depends on what their resources are financially and also historically. I think when you get close to Rome, New York, you had a Oriskany, and that was quite all along the Mohawk Valley. There was a tremendous amount of activity going on during the Revolution. So those towns and villages have tremendous historical resources, and they'll be in a better position than, let's say, some town out in Indiana.
Hmm.
Though things were happening in Indiana too at that time, but not so much in the Revolution, other than Revolutionary War veterans settling out there. Or they may have, we find that some stopped in Parma, but then didn't work out, so they moved on to Michigan. And maybe even moved there from Illinois, or they died in Illinois, moved out with a child, a son or daughter, and so they're buried out there. So those western towns would have that to draw on, but it's all very creative. People will find ways to do it. Um, Maybe their town is named after some eastern town that was in the Revolution. Hard to say how it'll all turn out, but at this time next year, we'll know the answer.
Have you had any input from the community about America 250 after you did that thing on December 6th?
Not a whole lot. Um, I think there has been so much going on this year with the Erie Canal,
Mm-hmm.
with the Recreation Department initiatives, and people are just plain busy, busy, busy,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good thing, but sometimes you get too busy. I think they know it's coming, but they haven't gotten there yet. And that's kind of why we wanted to talk about it, just to kind of let people know it's coming up and just to kind of poise themselves to be ready for it and enter in and do what they can to enjoy it.
Now, the Parma Hilton Historical Society also does monthly programs. Can you give our viewers a little bit of a glimpse of what's
Sure.
coming up in January and February?
Well, in January, I'm actually doing a program. When I do a program, it's usually centered on the village of Hilton or the town of Parma. The subject of this one will be when Hilton had a department store. And from 1876 till 1941, there was a department store on Main Street that had a bank, had furniture, groceries, china glass and silver, and even buggies and harnesses. And it's a story that it's been out there in pieces, but hasn't been totally told. And so I'm trying to pull that together. I don't have the list in front of me for February, but we're booked up through April, as far as I know. And I think we have one that's relative to the Revolutionary War, and there may be others as the year unfolds.
Real quick, if people want to get in touch with you, when are your office hours? When they could come and see you?
Well, the office here is normally open Wednesday evenings from 7 till 9. And people can just drop by. There's usually 5 to 10 people that drop by, and we just have general conversation, or if anybody has a specific question, we try to answer that for them. Otherwise, it's by appointment, and my office is in the community center, and my phone number's on the door.
Well, as I said, we're going to have future podcasts with the people that you mentioned. Thank you for kicking off America 250. Is there anything else you'd like to add on this one?
The only thing I would say is that the Sons of the American Revolution, did we talk about that?
A little bit,
Yeah.
how Amanda Dudley and
Yeah.
somebody.
Well, the Sons of the American Revolution is a group of men who have ancestors who were patriots, men that fought in the Revolution, and they're gearing up in Monroe County, and I don't know all the answers yet, but I just joined, And I found that I had an ancestor who was a patriot. I actually found two or three, but it's a very complex application because it has to be proved in order to gain acceptance. And several of our board members have done the same thing. So I think in the village we have about 6 men who are sons of the American Revolution. And hopefully we can get that group, not these people, but the group that have been members for a long time. There's a fife and drum corps, people that will come out to the village to perform ceremonies for honoring the patriots that are here. So there are things along that line that are unfolding, and that could be interesting.
Well, Dave, it's always a pleasure talking with you. There's been, conversations with Crumb talking about America 250. If you like what you saw, you can follow me on X, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Rumble. Dave, we'll be talking to you in the new year. Have a good Christmas and a happy New Year.
You too.
The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style. From the highs to the lows, every story just explodes. Mike's got questions on the go, diving deep from head to toe. Every week the guests align, sharing moments so divine. Stay with us, the pace is fine. Every episode you'll find